All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us. Hey, I got Chase Stockton joining us today. How's it going, buddy?
Good, man. What's up? What's up?
Hey, I appreciate you sharing the knowledge. Just moved over from your practice company, FFL, sold over 100 policies. So got some skill sets. And then what made you try to choose to move over here to Family First Life?
Well, man, math is math. Where I was at, my practice company, they're great, boast of great culture, all that stuff. I think culture is important, and we've got a great one at FFL. But when it comes down to it, I'm a father of 5. I'm the only income earner in my home. And math is math. Numbers are, it's the way it works. See, they don't lie. X percentage of this, if that number is larger, that's going to be more for me and my family. And so for me, it just worked out really well. I fit in well with the team and the culture. But again, ultimately it came down to the money's where it's at. So
basically what you're trying to say is higher commission, more money.
100%. And not only higher commission, I think the one thing that is missed a lot when we talk to new people that are talking about making a leap to come over to FFL is it's not just a higher contract level. It's a true higher contract level in the sense that I'll never forget the first final expense policy I wrote. I was so fired up, $2,300 annual premium, and I'm doing math in my head, right? Just like all of us, most of us probably get on that calculator and they're like, okay, X amount, my 70% of whatever is this. Well, a handful of days later, I get a statement that says, hey, $600 was deposited in your account or whatever. And I'm going, so I called the carrier. I'm calling everybody. I'm like, whoa, you guys made a mistake. Like this was supposed to be this much. And then come to find out, oh, wait, that's not even my true commission level. It's lower, much lower for these products. So, for a Family First Life, we've got access to some of these final expense carriers that are paying your full boat on your commission. And that's a game changer, especially when you think about how many of, the breakdown of our business, whether you run half mortgage protection, half final expense. Again, numbers are numbers, man, that adds up huge. And to me, that was one of the biggest things from the get-go that my first policy, first final expense policy through Family First, when that hit, it's going, okay, because that'll add up.
Go there. Yeah. And it's crazy how just like, most people I think move over from practice companies. I mean, I start at 50% commission, which is crazy, and, even like a 15-point raise, it adds up to a lot. I mean, that could be an extra 20 grand a year, right? Just Absolutely. 15 points, but most people jump over. I mean, most people are just don't know in the industry, and we're here to rescue them and actually be fair to them. And Family First was built on agents first, right? Making sure they make the most money, giving the best training, which is free. I mean, the conference coming up is $5 million they spent on it, renting out a professional baseball stadium, the Marlins.
Ridiculous.
And it's free. It's all free. They just want us to win, and they give us the most commission possible. They're not selfish. They're giving. But, most people jump up 50% in comp, which is pretty crazy. But even if you're at a 10-point spread, I mean, that's money that you're just throwing down the drain by not being here at Family First Life. So it's just a no-brainer. But what we're going to focus on today, and I want to appreciate you being on this call, we're going to get into some rebuttals, because I think that the one thing that we're always going to get is rebuttals, right? People are going to have objections, excuses not to protect their family. And so we're going to do some role play today on those and give some quick tips. And we're going to kind of go back and forth on like a little rapid fire here and knock these things out and see how you respond. Now, you got some experience, so I'll kind of start off with one, and then you kind of say it in your own words, but you want to get to a point and know all these rebuttals, practice them out loud. And the more energy you put into your business, the more you're going to make. I think so many people come into this and they study for an hour and jump on the phone. If it was me in my business and I'm spending $500 of my hard-earned money, I'm probably gonna be spending like 20 hours studying, like learn these rebuttals, call my friends and family, like making sure I'm practicing as much as possible. So I come out the gate swinging. And it's really important that we learn our rebuttals, know how to overcome them. And naturally, we should learn how to respond too if we're in the right perspective. If we believe in insurance, believe in the policy, naturally, we should kind of figure out how to respond to these rebuttals. But I'm going to go over some kind of quick tips here.
Hey, and Ryan, before you get into those, man, one thing that I know you pointed out to me that's been really helpful is identifying if it's a true rebuttal, right? Or if it's just something that right off the gate they throw out. is it actually a rebuttal? Is it something that they're just saying words that they've been taught as a consumer to, pump the brakes on this thing, or is it an actual legitimate rebuttal? And so I think, during that process, it's really important to understand the difference between somebody who's just throwing something up versus a legitimate something that they have an issue with. So
I agree with you too. And especially when we haven't practiced our script enough and we sound like we're robotic, or we sound nervous, or we sound needy, like we want a sale, we're being too friendly, we're not coming confident. You're naturally going to get rebuttals from people that they really don't care what the answer is. They're just trying to see how you respond to it. Right. And that's kind of the key there, is if we're responding in a confidence way, it builds up trust. They trust you. But if you're responding in a scared way or a needy way, which we'll give you some examples here in a second, then they're not going to trust you. You're not going to get a sale. So you're right. 50% of it, they want to know the answer to that rebuttal. And then pretty much 50% of the other time is just you haven't practiced enough and you sound nervous, and they're just testing you. They just want to throw something out to see how you respond, to kind of get a feel for you. Right. And so as you actually get more professional with your presentation, you practiced it for 40 hours, you're taking your business seriously, you're investing time into it, not just money, but time and practicing, then you're going to get less rebuttals. I got tons at first. I don't get as much now because I just sound confident, right? My presentation's on point and I'm getting rid of objections before they happen. Okay. So that was a great point. So the first thing I want to talk about, we're going to go briefly over this stuff because this is going to be more of a rebuttal podcast, but I think there's some good things that we can talk about up front to kind of get rid of objections. And it's our opening. When we're doing our opening, there's 4 topics that we need to cover to get rid of objections before they happen. And I would write these down. If you're watching this, grab a pen and paper. It's going to be trust, right? You need to establish trust, right? Otherwise, they're going to say, I'm not giving you banking information, or, hey, I need to think about it. Maybe it's because they don't trust you, right? We need to cover shopping, right? We need to let them know we're brokers and they don't need to get a quote from you and a quote from the next guy and a quote from the next guy. We need to explain how that process works. A lot of people just don't understand that we are shopping for them today. We need to let them know that they're not making their final decision today, right? We're getting rid of that think about what? We don't even know if you're approved yet, right? So they got to qualify first. We're getting rid of the driver's license, social security, bank account information up front, right? So that we don't have to deal with that objection down the road. So it's like, I'm not giving my bank account information. You're getting rid of that in your opening, right? And then we need to establish need. That's the number one, right? We need to find the need. If you're just presenting options and you don't know what problem you're trying to solve, well, of course you're going to get rebuttals, right? 1,000% you get some rebuttals. So really, really important to get your opening right. So I'm going to go over those briefly real quick, and then we'll throw it back to you, Chase, and we'll kind of see how you put it in your own words too. Okay.
Perfect, man.
Hey, I'm doing a live podcast right now. So if you want to work outside for a second. Valerie, my assistant, walked in. So, so anyways, we'll do trust, right? So trust, how we establish trust. We send out, a copy of our license to them. If you're doing remote, I always text a copy before the appointment, and then say, hey, this is a link to look me up on the Department of Insurance. Sometimes when you're doing remote, it's really hard to get rid of get them to trust you. Just people are kind of skeptical or weird. You can always FaceTime them. You can, basically send them a copy of your license, whatever you can to build up trust. But, I try to get rid of that one sometime in the opening and just letting them know who I am with a copy of my license. How do you get rid of that trust rebuttal?
Yeah. When I'm getting started with them, I make sure before we get into the water at all, I'll ask them, hey, you have that pen and paper. I'm going to need you to write down some information. I tell them my first, my last name. I tell them my license and my NPN number. And then I ask them to repeat it back to me. And I stress really that it's important. I want them to say it back to me. Okay. Because there's 2 things that I think have happened to me. Sometimes people will go, oh yeah, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, got it. And I'll say, okay, can you repeat that back to me? It's important you have that. 1, 8, what was it again? And I'll say, hey, I really need you to get this. And I stress that it's important that they know who I am. Okay. And I think that's something that until I get them to repeat that back to me, because once they repeat it back, perfect, Ryan, that's going to be the number that if you go on, you'll be able to search, you'll find out that I'm licensed through the state of Iowa to be able to go over this information with you today. Okay. All right. You got that. Yeah. And that's it.
And I think that's good too. I mean, you don't need to give it a ton of breath, because I think if we give it more breath, we come off needy. But, just something on that. Yeah, I need you to write that down. Required to let you know who I am. You can go to any department insurance, look me up, see my ugly mug on there, make a joke if you want. But that's, it's something to do with trust, right? And that one can be very brief. It should be probably like 30 seconds to a minute. Don't go too much into it, because if you overkill it, they're going to be like, okay, this guy's maybe being a little shady. He's trying to push this too much, right? So short and sweet, to the point. Shopping, right? So for a lot of us, they just don't. And what I would do, guys, we have scripts online, but honestly, I think it's better when you just eventually can freestyle. The guy that was writing 96,000 in a week, he just wrote down his main topics he wanted to cover, and he said it differently each time, but it was actually trying to, freestyle it, comparing to how the client, if you need to push a little bit more, he would, if he didn't. So sometimes just kind of understanding these concepts and talking about them, freestyle is actually better than the script. So shopping, right? So hey, Chase, just let you know, I'm actually a licensed broker. So what that means is I'm going to shop about 30 A-rated carriers today. Make sure you get the lowest cost. Just so you know, prices are fixed by law. So, if you deal with like a captive company, like a State Farm, you're kind of stuck within that actuary table. There's only one rating table, right? And everyone's rated a little bit differently. So if you talk to 5, State Farm agents, you're going to get the exact same cost. Okay. So it's not kind of like, this isn't like construction where you get a quote from one guy and then the next guy, and they all can get better rates through different companies. Prices are fixed by law. So how we get the lowest cost is by shopping multiple carriers at once. And that's what we're doing today. And then kind of based off your health, we're going to find the best actuary table, get you the best rating. And then we're also going to find out what you can qualify for as well. Okay. So that's the shopping part, letting them know that you're doing all the shopping and they don't need to meet with 5 different agents, that you're doing it all for them today. How would you cover shopping?
Man, I don't do really anything different. The only thing I would say I throw in there is just to let them know that my loyalty, the nice part is that you, Ryan, as my family I'm working with here, my loyalty is not to any one of these companies. My loyalty is to you. And so why that's a benefit is that I don't care where you go. What we're going to do is we're going to find the best fit for you based on your health, based on your age, and based on what's out there and fitting with that budget that you've set forth with me.
And that's a good topic too, that we need to be bringing up every single time. And, I just kind of lost that because I've been doing it for 10 years, but don't talk about it enough, is letting people know how they qualify. A lot of times you get these people going, yeah, what's the cost? And then it's like standard $50, right? For everybody, no matter what, they don't understand how risk works or anything. So really important in that shopping part to bring up, hey, these are based off age and health, right? And as we get older, it gets more expensive. So it is on sale right now, because we never know what tomorrow might bring. We might not die, but we could have a heart attack, and now the rates are 5 times more expensive, or we're declining, can never get coverage. So this is based off age and health. So make sure that's an important topic that you're talking about. We're doing shopping. So let's move over to qualify, right? Because what's the number one rebuttal we always get? I need to think about it, right? So how do we get rid of that objection? Is letting them know that the process of what you're doing today, you're calling them up, letting them know, hey, what's going to happen today is we're going to give you some options. We're going to pick one that fits your budget, and then we're going to submit a request to see if we can qualify you first, okay? Because the insurance company needs to think about it more than you, because they're the ones taking that risk. If you're dead tomorrow, they're out $250,000, they're out $30,000. They don't approve everybody, okay? So I know you think you need to think about it. The insurance company might not even take you. So today what we're going to do is pick a policy, see if we can get you qualified. If we get the green light, that's when you have your time to think about it, okay? They're going to give you a whole 30 days to make any changes from there. If you want to raise your coverage, lower it, whatever, you can do that then. But my job today is to submit an application and see if we can get you approved. And that's what the point of the call is today. So how would you handle that objection, the qualify first?
Honestly,
we'll role play it.
Yeah, go ahead. So you're saying I'm qualifying you?
How would you talk about qualifying first, to the client?
Yeah, I'm really upfront, and I'd say, hey, Ryan, so here's how this process works. Okay. Based again on the information that I get from you, a handful of questions I ask, we're going to actually give that information over to the carrier. Okay. They're going to need time to make sure what you're telling them is the truth, because like I said, this is all simplified issue. There's no blood draws, there's no urinalysis, anything like that. So based on what you tell them, they're going to have to double check that you're telling them the truth before they decide whether they will or they will not accept you. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay,
Right.
so today the step is really that I'm going to give you the answers and I'm going to ask you to just be upfront and honest with me. That's what we're going to go ahead and present to the carrier, and they're going to make their decision based on that. That process can vary in the amount of time it takes, but today's step is really getting that information over to them so they can do their work. Is that fair?
Sounds fair. And I love
Okay.
that at the end, those lines saying, does that make sense? Does that sound fair? Because people always say yes, and it's drawing them back in. So those questions, does that make sense? I mean, you should be saying that probably like 20 times. Does that sound fair? 20 times, because you're drawing them back in. And by engaging with questions, they're like, yeah, it does make sense. Now they have to agree with what you're saying. So that's a great line and a great tip. Driver's license, social security, bank account information. No one wants to give out personal information. So in your opening, it's important to kind of bring up that this is needed in the qualification process. That way you're not getting to the end, you're filling out an app, and then they're like, I'm not giving my bank account information. You just wasted 40 minutes. And then now when you're trying to explain to them why you need the bank account information, then you come off kind of like a little salesy, a little scammy, a little weird. So if you can get rid of objections before they happen, you're actually helping and serving the client. If you're letting the objections happen and now trying to get over them, you come off salesy. So again, if we do our opening right, we can pretty much get rid of every single objection before it could ever occur. So it's really important to get our opening down. Now we're still going to go over rebuttals that we possibly could get if you're new or whatever. We're going to get to these, but again, a strong opening and getting really good at this opening is going to eliminate pretty much 90% of objections you'd ever get. And one of the biggest ones we do get is the bank account information. So when you're going over this, again, less breath, less breath is going to make you sound more confident. So don't give it a lot of breath. Don't say it in a needy way, like, hey, Chase, we are going to need your bank account information. Just want to give you a heads up now. That's saying it in a needy way. So say it like in a nice, confident, smooth way. So Chase, in the qualification process, the insurance company obviously is not going to approve everybody. They're not going to give out $250,000 to anybody, the next day, unless they can provide some information and see if they're being honest. Okay. So they need three things. They need your driver's license. This is how they check your criminal background. Your social security. This is how they match your medical records, your prescription records, and your bank account information. This is how they check for money laundering and insurance fraud. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. And then we go to the need, right? So we don't give it too much breath, super fast, move on to the next point. How would you bring up those three important topics?
Man, you nailed it. And I know we've worked on this together before in some role play stuff. And I think the one thing that's huge on this is it's only weird if you make it weird, right? And I know Sean Mike hit on that on his psychology of the sale of why are you being weird about this? What's, it's something that if we sound like I shouldn't be asking you for this, Ryan, right now, they're going to feel that. They're going to know that, right? And the answer is this is what we do with everybody, right? Everybody. Then if they have objections, it's almost as if like, well, wait a minute, like, what do you mean we do this with everybody? Like, this isn't just you. I'm not picking you out. And so I think, everything you said is exactly, obviously I'm going based off a lot of what I've trained with you on. So that's exactly how I handle it. But the most important part is it's not weird. And it's not weird. And here's the thing, you truly ask yourself, I know I'm not taking their social, writing it down and going and looking to like hack their, so why is it weird? They can trust me. I'm a trustworthy person. I take my job serious. I'm a professional, right? Like I'm not doing anything with their info. So like why? And I don't need to be apologetic for people that maybe have scammed or are scammers. Like that has nothing to do with me, man. My job, I'm here to work with you right now.
Right. Yep. Exactly. And, it's all about tone. So 80% of this is tone and people get too caught up on the words. But if you're sounding confident, like you said, it's what's our perspective behind it. And what can happen as a new agent is you get afraid because so many people go, I'm not giving my bank account information. I'm not giving bank account information. You start believing their philosophy of it and going, oh, wait, maybe this is kind of weird to ask for bank account information. So you're saying it now in an afraid way, like, and I will need your bank account information. And now the customer's winning because it's always a battle about perspective, right? And so we need to keep our true perspective that, of course I would need the bank account information. Why would any insurance company ever qualify someone for $200,000 and take that risk if they're not even willing to show that their name's on that account? Come on, like, of course that would be, we got to be in the right perspective, right? And so when we're talking about that, say it simple, say it proud, say it confidently, say it short. And if anyone does give you grief, the one thing you can talk about, if you need to ad lib a little bit on it, is that the reason why we need the bank account information is because during the 9/11 attacks, they found out that those terrorists were laundering money through life insurance, because through whole life policies and stuff like that. So they passed the law, the Patriot Act, that actually requires now, whenever you want to get insurance, the bank account information to make sure that that name matches the person applying. So there is no money laundering and they're not on terrorist list. So if you want to get into that, you can tell them that. You can say, hey, if you have a problem with that, you're going to have to actually reverse the Patriot Act and probably call your senators in Congress, maybe start some marches up in Washington. Right. But, these are the laws. Okay. So, take it up with the federal government. So you can add it to that if you want, if you need to. But again, if you're saying a confident tone and you're following up right away, does that make sense? They have to say yes to it. Now you move on quickly before they have a chance to rebuttal. Okay.
Yep. And I think too, Ryan, sorry to interrupt you, but I think the other thing, think about it, guys. We know what our job is. What is one of the things that we have to write a policy? There has to be insurable interest, right? So this goes back to that bank account. I couldn't write a policy on somebody I don't know and pay for it, if I don't have it in there. And obviously we're not going to go in and explain that to them. But if you think about that in the background, again, we need this information. We need to know that the owner who's going to be paying for this policy is able to, we need to know who they are. I mean, it's just the way it works.
Yeah, exactly. It's a no-brainer thing. So think about it logically, defend your points, and don't defend the customer's point, right? Establishing need. So key, guys, this is our number one. And what happens too often, and I can blame myself for this too, is I get a little excited sometimes and I move past it. And, someone goes, I just want to look into options. I'm like, okay, cool. And I skip past the need part and I give them the options. And of course they say they want to think about it. Right. So we need to be very curious, right? So there's two things. Wrong way to do this is make statements. Hey, Chase, you're going to die, so you need to have this in place. That's a statement. We need to be curious with questions. There's only three things we should be doing on a call. We ask lots of questions. We're curious, trying to find the need. We reconfirm to make sure we're understanding, right? And then we tell stories. We tell stories to reconfirm those questions, okay? So stories are really good. Those are the only three things we should be doing on a call. We should never be making statements. I hear that too often or not, and it can work, but it's going to work a lot better if you can just engage with some questions. So we'll do some role play real quick. Go a little bit, obviously don't go crazy hard on me like it's unrealistic, but, kind of be a little vague with me, and I'll keep digging in until I get two answers. I'm looking either for Chase tells me, you know what, I don't think I need this. I don't care about my family. Okay. Then I'm like, cool. Then I don't think we should do a call. Don't send any more mailers in, and don't request any more appointment time. Stop wasting people's time. And I feel bad for your family, and I'm gonna hang up the call. Or we're getting, hey, actually this makes sense and I should have something in place. And we're establishing our need before we ask any medical questions, before we give any options. So this way, if they go, I need to think about it, we can have something to come back. Well, you had said earlier, Chase, that you saw this. So I guess what's the problem here, right? So we don't come across as salesy now because we're just reconfirming what they already told us, right? So we're getting them to say it out of their own mouth by leading them through questions. Okay, so we'll do a quick role play here. So Chase, what made you fill out the form, and why are we talking today?
Well, I don't know. My mother-in-law was telling me I probably should have something in place, some life insurance.
Okay, so you already you're too easy on me. So I was just looking into it. I don't know. I just want to see what the numbers are. Do it more like that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So what made you fill out the form?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of find out what's out there.
Gotcha. Okay. And why'd you want to see what was out there?
I just haven't really looked into it before. Not really sure. I don't know much about life insurance.
Gotcha. Okay. And then was there anything was there someone you were looking to protect if something did occur?
Well, I suppose I should. I've got a spouse and 5 kids.
Gotcha. Okay. And then are you the sole provider right now?
Yeah, I am. I'm the only one working in the household.
Gotcha. Okay. So if you didn't come home from work tomorrow, let's say you got in a car crash, or, God forbid, you just didn't wake up, aneurysm or something in the middle of the night, what's the financial situation look like for your family?
Well, it wouldn't be very good. We got a little money in savings, but probably not enough to make it very far for them.
Okay. And then what do you want to happen for them?
Well, yeah, it'd be great if we could pay the house off and they wouldn't have to worry, because really that would be my big concern, is that they, right now I'm the only one that pays the mortgage. So
she would probably lose the house. Obviously bills would be tighter. Just confirming this, that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it'd be pretty catastrophic, right? Because you're the one making the income right now.
Yeah, it really would. It'd be pretty difficult. I don't know if they'd move in with the in-laws or who, but it'd be rough on them.
So correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like why we're talking is that you're the breadwinner. And then, so this is the reconfirming, right? And, without your income, your family's going to be in a tough spot. And you know that we can't predict the future, and investing a small part of my monthly income that's coming in would be a good investment because I care about my family. I want to make sure that they're okay no matter what the future holds. Correct?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. And is there a certain amount that your family's worth a month? Are we trying to stay in a budget? Is there a certain amount that's worth putting towards that to make sure that they're going to be all right?
Yeah, budget's always important. I would say though, for me, it's probably more important to, the amount to make sure I can take care of that mortgage, that I've got a little more wiggle room in my budget.
Okay, cool. So we'll focus on that. And then we'll see if we can find some sort of something's in your budget, but we do, just to reconfirm, investing something, something monthly, a fraction of your monthly income to make sure that they're going to be okay is kind of the goal for today's call.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, perfect. So see, I'm reconfirming all that stuff, asking lots of questions. All right, cool. Let's do role play on the other side. Anything you want to add to that? And then I'll do role play with you.
No, man. I mean, I think it's great. I know for me personally, that's one big part I'm trying to work on still is continuing. Cause I think one is good, right? We have one reason. That's a good sign. We can move forward, but really if we get two, or if we are able even to get three, all based on that. So, something like that thing where, okay, so Ryan, you've got your wife and the 5 kids, right? And you're going to say, yep, I've got.
Okay. Yeah. We'll just do role play. Let's just try with me. Let's do another version. All right, cool. So, you asked me why we have an appointment.
Yeah. So what's the reason that you filled this form out and sent it in, Ryan?
Just want to look into it. Just kind of curious,
Okay. What were you curious about, or what's the reason that you were wanting to look into this?
Just to kind of see what the cost would be,
Okay. And the cost is, are you trying to protect somebody in particular, or what's your situation at home?
I have a 14-year-old son. So, I thought, well, maybe I'll just look into it. If it's worth it, maybe I'll help him out,
Okay. And so what does helping him out look like? If God forbid something happens to you, Ryan, and you don't come home tomorrow, what's life look like for your 14-year-old son?
Well, he's going to be with his mom right away. And yeah, I guess I wouldn't be able to support him financially and stuff.
Okay. Well, if you could, I mean, again, nobody wants anything to happen. And that's why we're talking today is really about insurance. But if you could, what would you want to leave for him, or what would that picture look like with you obviously gone? What would your hopes be for him?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess I didn't really think about that. I guess I just would want to live a good life. I mean, it would suck if I'm not there to help raise them and support them and stuff. So, just making sure he could do, whatever he wanted to do. So I'd probably ask him questions like, would you want him to go to college? Would you want him to have his own house? Would you want to give him some money to start a business? Stuff like that would be great questions. So let's just say I said that. Okay. So I'd probably re-ask that question. Yeah, I mean, just, make sure he could live a great life. I mean, obviously I'm not there to support him financially. If you want to go to college, start a business, buy a home, buy a car, help pay for his first wedding. I mean, all that stuff would suck. And these are questions you guys can ask them, to paint the picture, right? Would you want to, you're not going to be there for his first wedding. Would you want to have some money to make sure you could pay for that? He's 14. What about when he's, 16, right? Come from work and usually dads pitch in for the first car, right? Would you want to make sure that he could still have that without you there? What if he, wants to launch a company someday and you can't help him fund that? Or maybe he wants to go to college, be an engineer, and he can't get any student loans. I mean, are these things that are important for you for his future, right? So these are really emotional, good questions to ask. I would say that, let's say I said that stuff, and then you would follow it up with some reconfirming, right, Chase? So
right, yeah. So Ryan, what I'm hearing you say is that ultimately, if God forbid something happens to you, you want to make sure that your son is able to do a lot of those things, like the first car. You want to be able to help that out, support with some college if that fits in there. Maybe even have some extra money for him to pursue his dreams with automobiles, right? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
That's good. Yeah, correct.
Okay, perfect.
And then I think
that goes back to that.
I'd like, reconfirming even more. So basically investing, a fraction of your income coming in, to make sure the person you love, your son, is going to be okay. And all those future plans that you want for him are still going to exist even when you're gone. Are we on the same page? You know, that's a really powerful question, right? Or a reconfirming statement for them to go, yeah, that's actually it, right? You got it sold. So we're selling this insurance before we give them any options. Okay. And that should get rid of most of your objections. Okay. But so get really good at that part, and we can all get better at that. Okay. And tell some stories too. You know, hey, I had a good friend of mine and the father passed away, and you know, the wife lost the house to foreclosure. It sucked because they had $100,000 in it. I mean, tell some stories on it, right? I'm guessing the reason why we're here is because you don't want that to happen, you know, to your family in case things don't go to plan, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So we got established need done. So we got trust. Again, trust, established trust, shopping, qualify first, driver's license, social bank, and then established need. This is our opening. Now we're ready to get some medical out of the way and get some options. Okay. Now during our opening, when we have our scripts, you know, eventually I think we should all try to get to a point to where we're not using a script and we're freestyling and being ourselves, because being ourselves is confidence. Trying to be Ryan or be Chase is not confident, right? Reading from a script because I haven't practiced enough or know what to say is not confident. So getting to a point where you can kind of freestyle and be yourself is always going to help you make more money, because naturally you're going to sound more confident because you're being you. Okay. But if you do get any objections on dialing for appointments, or if you get any objections on your opening for like a one-time calls and they interrupt you, the one perfect line you can always say is perfect, that's why I'm calling, and go back to your script. And we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but example, if someone said, hey, I want time to talk, you know, my years of experience, again, everyone that answers the phone has 3 minutes to talk. They do. Okay. They're not answering their phone. So, hey, I don't have time to talk. Perfect. That's actually why I'm calling. This is a 1 minute call. Back to your script. Hey, how much does this cost? Perfect. That's why I'm calling. Back to your script, because your script's going to tell you that, you know, hey, what we're going to do today is qualify you first, shop everything. So you're answering the question. Hey, can you mail me some stuff? Yeah, that's actually the reason why I'm calling. Back to the script, right? Because it's going to answer that how we establish, you're explaining that what we're doing today is qualifying you first, blah, blah, blah. So pretty much any of those opening objections that you can possibly get, if you can't think of what to say, it's just, yeah, perfect, Chase. That's actually, I'm giving you a call. Back to the script. It's going to answer every single objection in that script. And those scripts are written for a reason to get rid of objections before they happen. So that's a really key one to remember. Perfect. That's why I'm calling. Back to the script. Anything you want to add to that? You've been trying that out. Has it been working?
No, it absolutely works. And I mean, here's the reality is that that's the truth. Like, that is why we're calling. Like, we're not, you know, I think when I first started that and I first heard that, I even told you at my practice company, something similar was said. And you know, you were joking about how that was one of your babies, you know, but it's the truth. If you think about it, when we just went over that entire opening, no matter what they say, that's why we're calling is the truth. Like, hey, you know, I don't know what this is, or I don't know what it's about. Perfect. That's why I'm calling, because we're going to get to that. Right. Like, so that's a true statement. So believe in that and then keep going. Because if you haven't touched on it, now, if they say, you know, well, again, what is this about? And you've already went over it, then, you know, it's complete hogwash, right? Like, it's just, wait a minute. Well, I already told you that, right? Like,
you can always repeat stuff too. I mean, sometimes they will ask stuff and you just go back and read it again, you know? So,
right. Like I told you earlier. Yeah, exactly. Like I said, when I called, that's the process today that we're going to go through. Right. And that's what we're going to find out for you. Okay. That making sense.
And the key too, when we're doing that stuff, is we don't want to give it breath, right? So a lot of times where people make rookie mistakes is someone throws out an objection, you answer it, and then you just wait for them to throw another objection. You answer it, and then now they're controlling the conversation, you lost. So whenever you have an objection, perfectly if I'm calling, going back to the script, you're controlling the conversation. You're letting them know, hey, that objection's silly, but stay on track here. Don't worry, I got you. And we're gonna get this done. And so you're taking control and you're being confident by going, I know what I'm doing. And you never want to stop. Any objection you ever get, you don't want to stop talking until you ask a question. So any objection at all, it's like, you know, perfect. That's why I'm calling it. Back to it. And then you're asking questions, you know, do we have that right? Correct. Okay. Does 7 or 6 work? Correct. Right. So you're always never stop talking until you ask the questions, because you're controlling the conversation. And where people mess up is they give it a lot of breath. Like, you know, well, how much does it cost? And you're like, well, you know, I'm a broker. What today I'm going to do is you're going off your script now. I'm going to shop multiple carriers. I mean, it's really completely up to you what the price is. And, you know, if we'll find something in your budget, you know, so that's kind of how we do the cost. And then you're quiet. And they're now throwing another one. Well, why can't you mail me the stuff? Right. So instead of doing all that, yeah, perfect. That's why I'm calling back to your script. You're sounding more confident and you're never stopping until you get to a question. So key reminders on that one, but that's a good general objection that I learned, a couple of years ago when I was doing some role play with someone that was terrible at rebuttals. And I was like, why don't we just try this? Just say this line, go back to the script. And it worked every time. I was like, wow, that actually works really well. So pretty cool hidden gem there. All right, so let's get into some rebuttals, okay? So we'll start off with the number one that we're always going to get. I want to think about it. And 50% of the time we're going to get this. Usually we get this one if we don't establish need enough, right? Still, even if we do establish need, sometimes we can still get it, okay? So let's focus on this one first. And you can throw out at the end, I'm going to give you two options. I'm going to be quiet. And, then you can say, I want to think about it. All right, cool. So again, for your wife, I know your house is $350,000. The first option is going to protect that, pay off the house, the full house, $350,000. That comes to $120. Okay. And then the second option we have, it pays off half the house. So at least half that mortgage is covered, reduces the mortgage payment in half, and or gives your wife some time to make mortgage payments and figure out what she's doing with the house. And that one comes to $95. Okay. So now we can't make a decision right now because we don't know if we're even going to qualify for it. But if you could qualify, would you want to have the whole house paid off for the $360,000, or would you want half the house paid off for $180,000 for your family?
Yeah, that's a really good question. That's something I'll need to think about.
Okay. And then what was it that you needed to think on?
Yeah, I'll really need to go back and look at my budget here, double check what bills I've got coming out and see what would make more sense financially.
Okay, so just reconfirming. So the reason why I need to think about it is you're not sure if spending $80 a month investing basically $80 a month to make sure your family's okay and protected, is you need to think about that.
So yeah, that's going to be a tough one for anybody to say.
Is $80 too much to invest in your family? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess I'm not sure. No, it's definitely not too much to invest in my family. I just want to make sure. I might have to move some bills around.
Gotcha. Okay. So it sounds like to me, it's more of a budget thing is a thing that's causing you to think about it, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. And then how long would it take you to think about it?
Yeah, I'd probably need another week or so here just to pull up some bills, see what time of the month things fall.
Okay. And then investing $80 in your family's protection in future, that might break the budget. Am I hearing that correct?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's kind of what that's what I need to look into.
Okay. But let me ask you a question. Do you see the value in spending $80 a month on your family's well-being? Do you see value in that?
Yeah, I'm sure I waste $80 on things worse than that.
Okay. Well, we have two options here. Okay. So if we need to reduce that down, if spending $80 is too much to spend on the family a month, what we could do is spend, say, $40 a month, maybe cover a quarter of the house. So that one would be $40. And is that more in your budget range? Would you be willing to invest $40 into your family to make sure they're okay?
Yeah, I know that I could make that work today.
Okay. So either way, like I said before, we're not making the decision today because you're not the decision maker, the insurance company is. So what we're going to do is submit a request and then see if they'll say yes or no, like I discussed earlier. And then they're going to give you said you need a week, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to give you 30 days. So you have plenty of time to think on if your family's worth 40 or $80 a month. But so we'll start with the 40 since that's kind of more in your budget range. And then if you want to raise it, we can down the road. Does that sound fair?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, perfect. And this will take about 10 minutes. And that way, it doesn't really make sense to think about something you don't even know if you can get yet, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So my job is just to see if you can even get it.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, perfect. So that's kind of how I'd handle it. I don't know does that sound rude when I'm saying like,
no,
does $40 sound too much to invest in your family's future and protection? I don't know. You tell me.
I think it, and I think the big thing, and you caught yourself once by saying spend to invest, and that's huge. And that's something that, even for me, this is so beneficial because hearing that when you say, hey, I'm going to invest in my family or I'm going to spend it on my family, that's two completely different mental images there in my head. When I think of spending money, I'm thinking of like, my daughter getting a 20 out of my wallet just to go and, she's going to go out to the mall with some friends and needed some extra cash for Chick-fil-A. Like, but investing in my family, now that's a whole different thing. Now I have pride in that, right? Like, so I think that's a huge thing that I just took away from what you said there. And maybe you've been saying that all the way along, and it just took us getting on a podcast for me to hear it.
I was thinking about last night. I actually have been saying spend. I was like, why don't I say invest? That sounds way better. So you're saying huge. Investing $40 into your family's protection, that's a little bit too much to put into your family safety. Come on. That sounds pretty good. All right. Do you want to add anything to that, or should we move on to the next one? Actually, we'll do a quick one. Okay. So, yeah, Chase, these are great. I'm just going to need some time to think about this.
Okay. Well, how much time are you thinking you're going to need for this?
Oh, I should know in a couple of days. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the insurance company, they're going to need to think about it as well. So like I said, of the amounts, whether it's that 120 or the 95, which of those two makes more financial sense for you today?
Probably the 95.
95. Okay. So what we'll do is grab your license here. Like I say, we're going to submit that request because we need to find out if you're approved first, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to think about something if you don't know if you're even going to get approved. So what we'll do is we're going to get that request put in. And then once we hear back, you're going to have that 30-day window to where if you need to make any adjustments, you're free to do so at that time.
Okay. And then, yeah, I just still don't really make decisions right away on this. So
Yeah, a lot of my families feel that way, Ryan. What they found out though is that if they put this off today, that it's just delaying it. You've already identified what you told me, if I heard you right, Ryan, is that making sure that your son lives is able to do some of those things is important to you. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, it is important.
Okay. Yeah. So like I say, a lot of my families feel that way. What they've found is that, getting this out of the way, they feel really good about it. So if you grab that pen and paper, or grab your ID, we'll get that started.
So yeah, now I would say a lot of my families feel that way about thinking about it. I would actually say the opposite. I'd say, well, it's kind of unique that I hear that, because most people don't say that. They don't say they need time to think about it because they understand that, hey, I want to, make sure my son's okay. I mean, you did say you want those future plans to happen for him, right? Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'm confused. What is it you need to think about? Is spending $95 or investing investing $95 in your son? Is that too much to invest towards his future, or you tell me? Okay. I mean, you still have the time to think about it. But again, I like to, if you need to get into that stuff, but I think your first way of handling it was great. But again, we're going to talk about the end of these rebuttals. If they're not 100%, we need to close this down and stop the chargebacks at the end. And I'd rather just get rid of it right then and there before I even go further into it. I'm just curious, Kat. I'm always curious, because that is, to me, very weird. What would you need to think about helping your son? What are you talking about? I am literally genuinely confused and curious about why this guy is saying this. And I want to figure it out. I'm just generally not trying to sell it. I'm just generally super interested in why this guy's hesitating on spending money on his son. Does he not love him or something? Does he like McDonald's more than him? Does he like going out to the bars and spending $200 on a night getting drunk? Is that more important to him than his son? I want to ask these questions. I'm generally curious. This is interesting to me, right? So approach it with an interesting curiosity and try to be, in a way that's not salesy, but just truly trying to help. Okay, just help me understand this. I guess I'm just kind of confused. I don't really get this very often. You said that you care about your son. I guess I'm just confused on, why is investing $95 for your son's well-being? Why is that something you need to think about? I guess I'm just confused on that. Can you help me understand that?
Ryan, what's your take on the, so again, in that curiosity standpoint, if I'm saying that to you and you've already told me, well, Ryan, you just told me that the 95 would fit in the budget. So typically when people tell me they still want to think about it, it's one of two things. It's either you don't like me and I haven't done my job good, or something that you've told me isn't factual. Which of those two are? I'm still just having a really hard time understanding this. Have you went that route?
I think those are excellent. So again, questions, and then getting answers and reconfirming. Okay. So then maybe you answered it. So basically what I'm hearing, Chase, is that you just felt like you don't want to be pressured into making a decision. You do see investing $95 in your son's future is important. It is in the budget, obviously, because that's a small fraction of your $4,000 income coming in. You can afford it, but it's just more or less that you just want to feel like you have more time to mull it over. Is that correct? Okay, great. So yeah, like I said, the insurance company is going to think about it more than you because they're taking the risk. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can even get you approved first today. Sound fair? Sounds fair. Good. Move on, right? So let's move on to the next one here. Hey, you're going to say, I need to discuss this with my wife.
Yeah, Ryan, I think it all sounds great, but I don't make any decisions without my wife.
All right, cool. So number one, we should never be doing one-leggers. So, early on in your presentation, you're asking who your beneficiary is. If the wife's not there, you're rescheduling that appointment. Okay. Now, if the wife is on the phone, that's easy. It's just like, great. Go ahead and throw me on mute. I'll be here with any questions that you might have. So it's nice and easy. Okay. If they say it further, well, they come back, well, I still need to talk to my wife. Like I said, you're going to have 30 days to discuss it. Okay. So my job is to see if we can get you approved today. And then we're going to go from there. Okay. So that's what we're doing today. So how would you handle that? I need to discuss this with my wife, Chase.
Honestly, Ryan, what you just said is exactly how I'm handling it. So
all right, we'll move on. All right.
Yeah.
We'll rapid fire these. I can't afford it. Okay. I can't afford it, Chase.
Okay. So when we went over the amounts, Ryan, and we talked about the two, you had originally told me that the 95 fit in your budget. Now, has that changed, or what's the reason that you're saying you can't afford that now?
We just moved in, bills are tight, and I just don't know what my budget is, and so I just don't want to overextend stuff.
Okay. But again, you correct me if I'm wrong here. You do see value in invest in something to be able to make sure that your son's taken care of. Is that fair to say?
I do see value in it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what we can do, instead of that 95 that would cover half of your mortgage, what we could do today is we could find out if we can get you approved for a quarter of that. That'd drop you down to $50 a month. So something like that. Would you feel more comfortable with something like that?
Yeah, it's a little more in the budget range.
Okay, perfect. Because that way we at least find out, we can get the process started. Go ahead and grab your ID, and we'll see if we can get you approved for that.
Perfect. And when we hear I can't afford it, that's a BS line. It's a completely 1000% BS line. It's just establishing need again, like he did, and overcome the objection. And we can always downsell. I mean, I don't care if I write a policy for $10. I mean, everyone can afford $10. Everyone has $10. You can write an accidental policy for $10. Downsell to get to $10. So, and you can always say, so you're telling me that your son's not worth $10 a month. Is that what you're trying to say? You're saying your son's not worth $10 investing $10 a month. Is that what you're saying? Because I know you can afford $10. Everyone can afford $10. That's a McDonald's meal, right? You give up a McDonald's meal once a month. Yeah, it's a latte. Like, you can't tell me. I mean, you can tell me. I mean, I'm gonna make them tell me, yeah, I don't think my son's worth $10. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I really feel bad for your son, and you have a good day, right? I'm gonna call him out. Call him out. All right, love that. I can't afford it. We're gonna move on. Okay. Chase, you tell me I need to talk to my daughter.
Yeah, I need to talk to my daughter about this.
Okay. So now if it's a one-legger, we need to make sure that if the daughter's living in the house, we should have, rescheduled the appointment, because she is going to be a decision maker. Like maybe a father lives with the daughter, mother lives with the daughter, something like that. They are decision makers. So you should have rescheduled it and not presented any options. But if it's like the daughters that living out of state, what I would respond to that is, yeah, I completely understand that. You can discuss that with your daughter. Like I said, we don't know if you're approved yet today. So we're going to see if we can get you approved first. All right. So Chase, we just moved in. We have to see what our finances will be.
Yeah, I completely understand. But how long do you think you're going to need to figure that out?
We probably should know in like a month.
In a month, you think it'll take you to get an idea of how long or what your finances are?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that actually lines up great. Like I'd mentioned, the insurance carriers are going to need to think about this as well. And so what we'll do is we'll pick an amount that feels comfortable today. We'll submit that. That way, while you're thinking, they're thinking, and that should line up perfect.
Perfect. Okay. So now you tell me I'm not interested.
Hey, I'm not interested.
Perfect. That's actually why I'm calling, so I can get you the information so you can make that decision.
Awesome.
Back to the script, right? All right. Chase, I already have life insurance.
Okay, perfect. That's exactly why I'm calling. What was the reason that you ended up getting life insurance put in place?
Just protect my family, just in case something happened.
Okay. And did you get the standard or did you get the comprehensive plan, Ryan?
I'm not sure, actually.
Okay. So what you're telling me is you've got a bill coming out each month, but you're not actually sure what it is or what it covers.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So why don't you, I've got time now. We can look that over, grab that policy. Because again, I think you're going to want to make sure you know exactly what you've got. And with the new plans that are out there each year, we may be able to save you some money on that. So go ahead and grab that information and we'll look that over quick.
Perfect. Love it. And then I already have life insurance. Remember, that's great. That's actually what we're talking about mortgage protection today. So that's for your income replacement. This is to focus on your house or final expense. Hey, that's great. You got your income replacement. This is to cover your final expenses. So you can separate the three, or if they already have life insurance. So you're looking to add a little bit more coverage on. Is that kind of what your concern was in trying to get it on sale right now because you're younger? Okay, great. So those are some options too. Now you tell me, I don't want to give out my bank account info.
Yeah, Ryan, I'm not really comfortable. I'm not going to give out my bank info.
Yeah, so we actually have to have that for the approval process. It's a check for money laundering or insurance fraud. Again, this is actually by law through the United States because of the Patriot Act. So again, what was your routing number? What was your account number?
Yep.
Okay, so if you're getting rid of the objection, obviously up front, we talked about that earlier. Hey, we don't do auto drafts. Actually, you have to send me a bill.
Gotcha. Yeah. All the insurance carriers are going to require to have an auto draft, and it's really for your protection, Ryan. The reason is that this is an important bill, right? We don't want to have somebody accidentally forget to send that in, not put the check in the mail, and all of a sudden your coverage stop and your family, like your son, not be able to be taken care of. So that's why they do this. Is actually for your protection.
Yep. And exactly too. It's also, if you miss that payment by one day, then you don't have coverage. And this is to make sure you're covered no matter what. So it's always set up auto draft. Now you get to pick the day if you want to come out. So we do always the 15th or the 1st, or we can even match it with Social Security. If it's final expense, always try to do it a couple of days after Social Security. So good tips on that. They asked me, yeah, I heard there's $1 million of coverage for $1.
Yeah, I saw a commercial where they told me I can get $1 million for $1 million insurance for $1.
Yeah, Chase, that wasn't the ad that you responded to. We don't lie. Those are actually lies to just try to bait you into that. That's if you're 18 and a marathon runner, $1, but you're 65 on some meds. So what we do is we shop multiple carriers. And then based on your actuary table, we're actually going to find you the lowest cost rate that you do qualify for, since I'm shopping 30 carriers today. But I'm going to be a straight shooter for you. That doesn't exist unless you're about 18. So that was just some bait and switch stuff on TV ads. We're legit. We're medical underwriters. So we're going to get you the lowest cost coverage and actually be accurate about what it would cost. Okay. All right. So Chase, I already have a work policy.
Hey, man, that's great. I'm glad you got that in place. I always tell my families that that's a lot like a company car, right? Like, it's great while you're there, you use it, but when you leave, that stays with the company. And so what we'll do today is we'll look at putting in something that's permanent for you, that goes with you, whether you are at that home, you're at that job, but it'll be there to make sure that your son's taken care of when God forbid something happens to you.
And another good one to add is to tell stories. That's great. You have a work policy. I had a client before, and you guys can all use this. This is a true story. I had a widow I was talking to, and they had looked at mortgage protection before, and they decided, you know what? I don't want to get this. We actually have a good work policy for my husband. He's the breadwinner. Let's just put extra money towards the house to pay it off early. Well, he had gotten cancer. Okay. Because he wasn't at work for 6 months, the work policy got dropped. He died in month 9. She lost the house anyway. So all the extra money they put towards the house, they lost it. If they would have had a policy like the one today with the critical illness, they would have had access to it, right? Then they have something that's not related to if you're going to work or not. So keep in mind, work policies, we never consider them policies because they're gamble policies. You have to be at work for those to be in effect. If you get sick and you're not working, you don't have coverage. Or if you get retired, you don't have coverage. Or if you get laid off, you do not have coverage. So we're actually looking to make sure we cover all of our bases, so our family's protected no matter what. And that's why we're looking at private coverage today. All right, let's move on. It's too expensive.
Yeah, Ryan, this is just too much money for me.
Yeah. Okay. So you're trying to say that investing $90 a month into your family is not worth it. You don't think that's a good investment towards them?
Well, it probably is a good investment, but
okay. Would you say $45 is worth investing towards your family's future and making sure that they're going to be okay no matter what, making sure they're protected?
I feel like that'd be much more feasible at this time.
So just down sell. All right. Yeah, they said that I'm covered by the VA burial.
See, now this one, just full transparency, I've never heard this. So maybe you can take this one because I've never heard that.
You guys can Google it. Just Google it. A lot of people are confused on that, but basically they only get $300 from the VA. They do get $2,000 if they die of a service-related death. So they had to prove that the reason why they died was because something was in service, which is very hard to do. And you can Google the link on the benefitsva.gov. So Google that and then send them a link and tell them, just go over it with them, because just kind of clear up that confusion. Okay. Yeah, Chase, so I need some more time to think about this.
Okay. So how long do you think you need to think about it, Ryan?
A couple of days.
Couple of days. Perfect. So the insurance company needs to think about it as well. Like I mentioned before, and we went over that one.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I didn't fill this out, Chase.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm calling. Now, your date of birth is 5/1/83. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And an address here of 123 Main Street.
That's right.
That's you. Okay. So I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, Ryan. Not a big deal. My job again today is just to get this information out to you. So I just go on.
There you go. Love it. So again, shorter, better, ignore objections, less breath. Good. So that was excellent. Say, I have no need for this.
Hey man, I don't think I have a need for this.
Oh, why is that, Chase?
Well, I got a couple bucks in my savings. I got probably 50,000 in savings right now. And adding another bill is never fun. So
gotcha. Okay. So if that $50,000, if I took $100 out of that 50,000 and put it towards a policy, okay, so I'm investing now into a policy, and now I have another $50,000 in case something happens tomorrow. So is $100,000 more than 50,000?
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So we're taking some of our money and we're doubling it by investing in life insurance. Now that $50,000, that if you didn't have a policy, you have 50 grand no matter what, right?
Right.
But if you put $100 into a policy, and let's just say it's a whole life, and you put $50,000 into it, by the time you're 100, how much do you have?
100,000.
You have 50,000, right? Because you're spending 50,000, you're going to get 50,000. So either way, you're gaining money by putting money into a policy. These are investments. And for $100, you immediately have 50,000. What investment can you put $100 into and immediately be worth 50,000?
Nothing legal, that's for sure.
That's right. So that's what this is. Okay. So just kind of explain the value of it. Maybe again, asking more questions, find the need. That's going to be how you overcome that. So what would happen tomorrow if you died, right? So would this help you out? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. It's a good one. I really can't afford this bill at this time.
Okay, so what is the reason that you're saying that?
It's just bills are tight. We kind of covered this one earlier, so we'll probably get on that one. Okay. I can't make a decision today. We covered that one.
I'm elderly, Ryan. How about that? Like I'm older, but I wanted in my mind, I was thinking I needed $200,000 worth of coverage.
Yeah, so we can afford that. There's two things that cause our rates to go up. It's our age and health. So at 70 years old, that's going to be a lot more expensive than at 40 years old. Okay. So how much do you think 200,000, how much would you be willing to pay a month for 200,000?
Maybe 150 bucks.
150 bucks. Okay. So the insurance company, just to make sure I confirm this, right? You want the insurance company to give you $200,000 and you're paying 150 bucks in case you die, and you want that to last the rest of your life, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So you're 70 years old right now. How long do you think you're going to live for?
Hopefully, my dad lived till he was 103. So 100.
At 100. Okay. So that'd be amazing, right? You're going you're pretty much in the 90, you're probably in the 5 percentile that lives that long. So that's crazy odds, but let's just do it. 150 bucks times 12 times 30 years. So you're going to give the insurance company $54,000, and then you die and you want them to give you 200,000, correct?
Yeah.
So the insurance company would lose 150,000, correct?
Yep.
What insurance company would do that? Why would they do that?
No, they probably wouldn't, now that you say it like that.
Yeah. So we could do that policy if you want to spend maybe $600 a month. Is that something you want to do?
No, that'd be way out of the budget.
So usually what most people do is a smaller plan because it's more affordable and it's guaranteed. Okay. Does that kind of make sense how they price stuff out? Now, if you were 20 years old and trying to go to 40 years old, they know there's good odds you're going to live 40, right? Or maybe you start at 20, you have a whole life policy. Well, now you have not 30 years to put in $120, but you have 70 years to put $120 in. So that's kind of why the prices go up. So it's all relative. If I got a policy when I'm 40 and I'm paying $40 a month, and now I'm starting a policy at 70, paying 120, well, I wasn't paying for the last 30 years. So now I'm paying a bigger chunk to catch up, right? For surviving this long. So it's all relative based on age. So just kind of explaining it. Okay. And that's kind of like how I want to pay my whole house off. You know, sometimes elderly people say that. So you're kind of explaining that to them. And I tell them, yeah, we can totally do that. I don't really have anyone ever do that. It's $890 a month. Did you want to pay that? We can do it. It's $890. Well, no. Well, why would it cost that much? Let me explain why. All right. I have a financial planner and advisor that handles this stuff. That's kind of a good one.
I want you to handle that one, because that honestly is a tough one. So if I told you I have a financial planner and an advisor that takes care of this, what's your go-to?
Great. You know, I think that's awesome. Yes, I'm sure he handles your investments, life insurance, stuff like that. This is actually for mortgage protection. That's what I specialize in. So I'm going to shop all the mortgage protection plans for you. And then we'll get you a cost on that and get that in place. Now, if he wants to call me, he can, but my specialty is in this. Okay. Most of the time, people aren't going to say that for life insurance because they're already going to talk to them. Final expense, same thing. Hey, I specialize in final expense. So that's great. You have that person for your life and your financial planning stuff. But what I specialize in is in final expense, which isn't his area. Okay. So we're going to get something in place for that today. All right, good. So the close, right? So we're going to do the close. How do you do your close? So you give the two options. Give me your close.
So Ryan, like we talked about, we're looking at either the $120 a month to pay off your full mortgage, or $95 for half of the mortgage. Which of those two makes sense to see if we can get you qualified for today?
Okay, good. That's your close. Yep. That's what I would say too. So my close is just, hey, Chase. So we have the $200,000 for $100 a month, or we have the $100,000 for $50 a month. We can't really make a decision today because we don't know if you're going to qualify. But if you could qualify, would you want to leave your family $200,000 or $100,000?
Yeah, it's much stronger.
All right, perfect. Stop chargebacks. So again, if you're getting a lot of rebuttals, you don't just end it and go, hey, here's your 30 days to think about it. We got to solidify this. We don't want to have chargebacks. Okay. So we got to ask, now it's closed. They've been approved. You know, what are the three most important reasons why you got this in place? Right now, they might say, I don't know, I might not keep it, whatever, but you role play with me. All right, Chase. So what are the three most important reasons why you got this in place?
Well, like I say, I want to make sure that if something happens to me, that my family doesn't lose their house. I want to make sure that my spouse is able to, focus on what she does best, which is taking care of the kids, and not be stressed with the financial side of stuff, and have some time to figure out what she's going to do career-wise going forward. And then ultimately, I just want to make sure that if at all possible, that they're still able to have a chance at going to college, and taking care of part of that bill if we can, again, how that all plays out.
Yep, exactly. And if you were to say generically to me, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it. I'm going to ask lots of questions. Why? I'm going to reestablish need, ask lots of good questions. So if you're dead tomorrow, you're saying this wouldn't help them out. So I'm reestablishing it. You don't want the clients to have conversations without you on the phone, because they're going to talk themselves out of it because they don't have all the talent of seeing the value of how you can talk about it. So you want to have this conversation with them together before you leave the house or before you get off the phone call. So reestablish need. Cancels happen when you don't establish need, right? So this is your chance to ask really tough questions again. It's already sold. So now you can go really hard in the paint. So you're telling me you need to think about, Chase, investing $45 a month to make sure that your wife's going to be okay. That's what you're still deciding on that. Why is that, Chase? Help me understand that. What's the hang up here, right? So engage with lots of tough questions at the end and really solidify this, and keep asking questions until that client tells you, no, look, I get it, Chase. I'm going to keep the policy. Now it's sold. If they're not saying that, you haven't asked enough questions yet. We want to get them to go, no, Chase, I get it. Okay. I'm going to keep the policy. I care about my family. Now, okay, great. Right. Sending your contact, and then the insurance protection notice, right? Send them a copy of that insurance protection notice, read it to them word for word. That's going to stop people coming in from behind you, so go over that with them. That's on the website, fflrush.com. And then Chase, if people are watching this and they want to work with you, how would people get a hold of you?
You can either head over to my Instagram at the name is Chase and check me out over there. Otherwise, I think it's that's probably the easiest way to get me.
Why don't you give your phone number out?
Okay. Area code's 402-508-0252.
One more time.
Yep.
One more time.
402. Yep. It's area code 402-508-0252.
And if you want to work with FFL Rush, just visit fflrush.com. We're here to help you win. So I hope this helped, guys. Hey, Chase, pleasure, my man. I'm so excited to be in business with you. We got big things coming.